Welcome back to another video. This week we're out in the adventure Jeep and gonna go to South Fork Park and take an image of the creek there. It's rained a little bit the last couple days. Supposed to be raining right now, but it's not. A little overcast. You know, we're not in the early morning or late afternoon hours. We're right in the middle of the day here, but we're gonna go and see if we can. And of course I say that and I start to get a little bit of water on the windshield. So hey, what the heck? So maybe it will get a little bit of rain. But, you know, I thought we'd go down here, see if we could capture an image in midday, a little bit overcast, and see if anything turns out look halfway decent. And spend a few minutes talking about, you know, something I thought we should get back to. We haven't talked about it in a little while. I've been shooting micro four thirds and the OM-1 Mark II for now just over a year. You know, I thought I would share, you know, how I feel about it. I know I did an update at 6 months. I figure I'd do another one here at a year. You know, just, you know, talk about what's changed, how I approach things, what I think of the system, you know, where I'm going moving forward. You know, and I just thought it'd be a good time to do an update. So thanks for coming along, everybody. You know, and stay tuned as we make our way down to South Fork Park. All right, so we're here at the park. Over my shoulder here, you can see a little bit of it. This is one of the nicer, excuse me, city parks around. I really like this place. We were here late last fall. You know, really all the color and everything was gone. It was a nice morning. If you remember, a deer came up behind me while I was filming, and I put the comment in, you know, God's a comedian. So that was a video last year. I'll link that video if I can find it. I'll link that video here in one of the corners at the end, you know, so if you want to go see it, you can. But this is a nice little city park. It's got a nice bridge stream. It's also got, if I remember correctly, a disc golf course and some trails. You know, it's really pretty nice. Not far from home, probably about 20 minutes, I'm gonna say, roughly. You know, it's you know, pretty nice spot. So what we're gonna do here is we're trying to make our way down, see if we can find access to the stream. There goes a nice squirrel. All right, see if we can find access to the stream, see if we can take an image when there's leaves and things on the trees, which we were not, you know, able to obviously do when we were here the last time, because the trees were pretty much bare. You know, but we're also here at a time of day when there's, you know, not, you know, it's not epic sunrise or anything like that. It's just a simple day. There's the stream. Looks like it might be up a little bit. Here, turn this around so you can see. I really like streams, taking images of them. Be nice though if you could, oops, sorry, if I could get out in the middle of it, but the water looks to be a little bit too high and there's not. See here, you can turn around so you can see here. I was hoping the water would be up a little bit, so I figured we could get a better image. Don't know if this is a good spot. Let's go walk around and see if we can find anything better. All right, kind of. You can see the big negative here is sun's out right now and there's no shade, so it's pretty awful. And I'm on some sketchy rocks. That's the way it always works. So I'm going to put my case down, get my tripod set up here, you know, see if I can take an image a little different than I normally do. Normally I shoot upstream. In this case I'm going to shoot downstream, see what I can come up with, you know. So let's get set up here and see what we capture. All right, so we're set up out here, kind of a sketchy rock here down below me. You can see the, you know, how I've got it set up, but what I'm doing is I'm basically using these rocks, shooting downstream, water coming across. Now here's the problem we run into, even with the circular polarizer that I have on right now. Because of the time of day, at ISO 200, I'm still at 1/40th of a second, which is a problem, okay? Because you're not really getting any smoothing or, you know, motion of the water per se. You really want to try to get it down to about a half a second. So in the OM world, there's a couple ways of doing that, or any camera world, but OM-1 Mark II specifically, you can add the neutral density filters on top of this, and that'll, you know, darken things up and allow you to slow it down. Or you can make adjustments, all right, in your ISO and those kind of things. You know, typically when I'm shooting, I like to set at a fixed ISO 200. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play with a couple of the built-in neutral density filters and see if I can get this slowed down somewhere close to about a half a second. All right, so let me try that and see what we come up with. Put on a 5-stop ND. All right, they have the ability to go individual stops. All right, and in doing that, still shooting at f8, f9. Now again, I could have also gone up to f12 or f11, f16. And I could have done that too to help slow it down, but I wanted to stay somewhere around the sweet spot of the lens. All right, so now I wanted to get towards half a second, but it seems like shooting it a little over a second looks a little bit better. So here, let me show you the back of the camera so you can see my settings. Hopefully you'll be able to see this in this bright light. But if you look here, you can see I'm 1.3 seconds at f9 ISO 200. All right, and again, I've got a circular polarizer on. All right, and I'm using, you know, a 5-stop built-in ND filter, you know, in the camera. And the one thing I do is, you know, it'll give you, it has the ability, it automatically defaults to on, all right, to see the simulated image in the screen. I find that to be a real pain. It distracts me, so I, you know, shut that off. But beyond that, everything is in here, all right, the way you see it, you know. And so if you turn it around, all right, take the image, all right, we have a 2-second delay built in. It'll be hard to see, but you can see here we've got moving water nice and smooth. Unfortunately, what we have is a lot of sunlight, so I'm going to take a couple more images, all right, and then we'll talk a little bit about what I think about the, you know, after a year of using the OM Systems OM-1 Mark II, you know, what I think of it. So thanks for coming along. Let's take another image or two, and then we'll, you know, we will talk about that. All right, so we're back in the adventure Jeep, hooked up to the mount for my GoPro here on the dash, like we were driving over. Now, getting a little warm outside, a little sunny and a little hot. I was beginning to sweat and I didn't bring any water, so I thought I would jump in here to film the end. First thing is, if any of the images I took, all right, worked out, I'll put them in here for you to see. right, so now the answer to the less than perfect round head and the hat always turning is just wear it backwards. It doesn't seem to matter, at least feels like it doesn't matter. So that's just something to look forward to if you have the same problem I do. Don't be afraid to turn your hat around, especially when you're taking images, because quite frankly the bill of the hat gets in the way anyway. All right, so talk about my OM-1 Mark II after a year. What do I think of it? It's pretty obvious what I think of it. I liked it so much, or like it so much, love it so much, whatever term you want to use. You know, I got rid of my OM-5 and bought a second one. All right, and I use them both. You know, pretty much anytime I go out, I look at using them both. I have them set up with different lenses, have them set up a little bit differently. You know, still seems like every time I go out, though, I don't have the right camera in my hand for the situation that, you know, that appears. Don't know why that is. I just have terrible luck, but that's beside the point. You know, it's absolutely a great system. Now, I don't want to make it seem like it's something that isn't. All right, let's not kid ourselves here, okay? It is not a 100 megapixel sensor, so you're not going to get 100 megapixel detail. When you shoot at high res mode, if there's any movement whatsoever, you don't get a good, crisp, sharp shot. At least that's my opinion, but it's still usable, still workable. All right, it's not terrible, but you know, the 20 megapixels for the most part, and everything we do is more than enough. 20, 24 megapixels, there's a reason why cameras are still sold, all right, in that particular range, because it really is a sweet spot. All right, 20 megapixels is more than enough for what I do. The file sizes are not gigantic, which allows me to store more, manage more. It's easier to take care of. When you get into, you know, like a Hasselblad X2D where you've got a 100 megapixel sensor, your files are so damn big that you just they're hard to, you know, work with. It takes a lot of computing power, it takes a lot of storage. You know, there's a lot of things there that are negatives. All right, now also on the Micro Four Thirds sensor, does it work as good in low light as, all right, a full frame or a medium or even an APS-C? APS-C, I don't really see a big difference, but full frame and medium format, yeah, there's a difference. All right, is it terrible? No. I mean, with today's tools to work with, it's not really a worry. Okay, I mean, don't even, it's just not worth considering. But today's tools, doesn't matter if you shoot full frame, if you shoot Micro Four Thirds, you can handle the issues with the tools that are out there today pretty easily. I've not run into anything I couldn't deal with, so I don't even consider that a factor anymore. All right, I've had to learn to do that. I'm not going to kid anybody, because I really didn't like doing that in the beginning, but today I'm comfortable with it and I don't consider it a factor. All right, you know, Micro Four Thirds gives you the great lenses, smaller camera, all right, smaller lenses, all right, and that reduces the weight. At the same time, it gives you a lot of in-camera capabilities, all right, with all the features that are there, you know, like the the neutral density filters, you know, graduated ND, you know, the high res images you can take. You know, there's just so many features in there, you know, that you don't find in other cameras. It really is a big benefit, and one that you won't realize how good it is or how much you benefit from it until you have it and you use it. So I highly recommend, even if you're not, you know, even if you shoot something else, rent one. If you got a friend that's got one, just try it and see, you know, play with the graduated neutral density filters, you know, so you block out some of the, you know, the sky and get a little bit more detail there in your images from the sky. Or, you know, use, like I did here today, you know, the neutral density filters itself to help slow down water when there's really a little bit too much sunlight and you want to get a slower shutter speed. You know, they're great features, something that it's worth having. All right, and again, the camera cost is still lower than most full frames. Oh yeah, there's some that are a little bit less today, but they also don't have the features. You know, the weather sealing itself and the in-body stabilization, I mean, come on. I mean, they're the best there is out there. I mean, whether it's in the lenses or in the camera itself. I mean, they're fantastic. You know, and again, I came out here today expecting rain. I didn't get it, but I wasn't worried about it. I don't even think about it. It's just not something when I'm using my OM Systems gear that I really worry about, because I know I'm in good shape. You know, we're getting ready to take a trip down into Florida, then into Savannah, and then back into the Smokies here in a couple weeks. You know, I plan on taking my OM Systems gear. I'll take some images and things, you know, and show them to you. You know, and I'm not going to worry about the weather. I'm not worried about anything. Not worried about being near the salt water or anything. It's good equipment that's worth every penny they charge for it, in my opinion. You know, and it's something that yeah, I think you'll enjoy using. So by all means, you know, if you're on the fence, if nothing else, rent it and give it a shot. I mean, I will throw a link to a video down below. Guido Vandewater over in New Zealand, who's an OM Systems ambassador, he did a video recently talking about low light performance with Micro Four Thirds, where he was out, you know, taking images, you know, and it's a pretty good video. And again, he's somebody who's shot, you know, Olympus / OM Systems basically his entire life. You know, I started shooting Olympus back in 2014, left it to go to Canon for a while, now back to what's called OM Systems. You know, it's good equipment. Don't think that you're going to lose anything. Every camera system has its pluses and minuses. 99% of the image, or the issues with the image, especially with today's cameras, is us. All right, it's not the environment. You know, it's us and how we go about either setting ourselves up, how our compositions are, or the environment we put ourselves in, or just how we chose to take it. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If an image looks good to you, that's perfect, because that's who you're taking the images for. You're not taking the images for me or somebody else. You're taking them for yourself. You know, so be proud of them. Get out there, you know, get out and use whatever, whether you're taking portraits, whether you're taking landscapes, you're taking, you know, street photography, doesn't matter. Just get out there, you know, and enjoy a little bit of the time in the great outdoors, and, you know, using the camera and just, you know, trying to learn, you know, trying to get better at what you do. All right, I'm going to stop rambling in the video here. Just remind everybody, you know, like, comment, subscribe, help the channel grow if you would, please. You know, that's something I would greatly appreciate. And we haven't been getting a lot of comments lately, and I know my videos haven't necessarily been the best lately, but it's, you know, when I get time, I get out and I take images. I left my granddaughters at home today to come out and do this, you know, for a little bit, you know. So, but please like, comment, subscribe. I'd like to grow the channel some more. All right, and thanks everybody for coming along. Appreciate every one of you. Till we see you again, stay safe.